Hey everybody, welcome to the video. In this video, I'm going to give you my list of 15 players that never played for the Habs, but I liked. Some of them begrudgingly, and some of them just generally did like. Now, I went over the list, so don't write me and tell me that two of them played for the Habs, because I know one of them did and one was drafted by the Habs, actually. So this is what happens when you're making a list. So I'm going to tell you my 15 top players that I liked that didn't play for the Habs over the years of my career watching hockey. So number one, we won't waste any time. Number one, from the Quebec Nordiques, really good player, and you had to like him because he wasn't overly physical. Like, I don't think he was a nasty player, but a damn good one. And that is Peter Stastny. Peter Stastny, I'm really writing it well. He defected. I think he's a Czech-born player. He had to defect to get here. That was at different times. Him and his two brothers, Anton and Marion. And yeah, it was a big deal when they got here, and he was worth every penny that I guess that the Nordiques had to spend to get him to pick him up and bring him. It was a different day. Very good player, but could fight. Watch my video, the Good Friday Massacre. He was involved in that. But you had to like Peter Stastny because of his talent. Next up. Now this guy, he had some, I'm trying to remember what it was. He did something stupid in his career. I don't know if I'm spelling it right. Dino Ciccarelli. That's a horrible job, Rick. Ciccarelli, I liked him a lot, mostly because of his name, Dino. Does anybody remember the Flintstones? If you're old enough to remember the Flintstones. Yeah, so Dino Ciccarelli, you just automatically liked him. He played for the North Stars, and I want to say the Capitals. He played for a few teams. Guy could score. I think he's got like 600 goals. Kind of underrated, maybe, and because I guess he played for, the North Stars, he didn't get a lot of coverage. But Dino Ciccarelli, just a guy I always liked, had one of those names you just liked him, and even though he did something stupid, I don't know forget what he did, didn't bother me. Next up, from Pittsburgh, well, the New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins, and that is, I'm going to try to write this where it's legible. Bryan Trottier. Bryan Trottier, good player, part of the New York Islanders dynasty where they won 4 cups from 1980 to 83. He was just part of, I think he played with Clark Gillies. He was on, I think he started on the checking line. He's a guy that could play physical. He could score. He went over to Pittsburgh when he was a little older, won a cup or two with Pittsburgh, and just proved that he was a great hockey player. Guy that doesn't give up, always fights hard, good solid hockey player. And I don't think a dirty hockey player from what I remember. Next guy up, from the Edmonton Oilers. He was kind of fun to watch. He was a hell of a character. I don't know if I'm spelling his name right either. Esa Tikkanen. Esa Tikkanen was one of those kind of players where, I want to say a sneaky kind of player. He could score goals. He could kill penalties. He was fast on his skates. He was funny. He did all kinds of prank kind of stuff. He did funny stuff. He was just funny. And then I saw him on an episode of Trailer Park Boys, but not the regular series. They did something where they were in Europe, and they spent the day with Esa Tikkanen, and it was really funny. The guy was funny, but I liked Esa Tikkanen from that team. Next up, from Quebec, and another small guy. You know, we could talk about Cole Caulfield being small. Well, here's a guy that can give him some lessons. That's Marty St. Louis. Of, I guess mostly of Tampa Bay. Marty St. Louis was a small guy, but could score. I think he led the league a couple of times. 50-goal scorer, I do believe. Put up the points always. And just a great hockey player and a really good guy. You never hear anything bad about Marty St. Louis. He's a guy that, even though he doesn't play for your team, you could like him because he's talented and stand-up kind of guy. So I like Marty St. Louis. Always did. Next one. Never played in the NHL. Was drafted by Montreal, but I would have liked to see him play in the NHL. A goaltender, and you might know who it is as I'm talking. Let me see if I can spell it right here. Vladislav Tretiak. Vladislav Tretiak was a damn good goalie. He was drafted by Montreal. I don't remember exactly what year. He was a little older. He never came over to play. It's too bad because if he was like 10 years later, he would have been able to come to North America and play hockey. But in the days when the 72 series and all that, yeah, they had to defect. Like Peter Stastny had to defect to get here. And he never came over. It's too bad. He was a pretty great goaltender, and I always liked him and always wished that he would come to play for Montreal. Like we'd have Dryden and Tretiak. That would have been really cool. I think it was in those days that we drafted him. I'm not positive. But it would have been nice to see him here. Next up is a kid that he's not a kid anymore. I saw him here in Montreal. He was playing for I want to say the Verdun Juniors, so I saw him play in Verdun. One game, but I went to see him, and a great player. You could see that he was going to be great when he was a junior, and that's Pat Lafontaine. He's got a French name, but he's an American kid. Came to Montreal to play hockey. That's where he wanted to play. Anyway, Pat LaFontaine, great goal scorer, played for the New York Islanders when he started out. He was drafted by them. I think he had his best seasons in Buffalo, and that's where he put up his most points. But, I mean, he played pretty good with the Islanders, but the Islanders were a god-awful team when Pat LaFontaine got there, and they never did anything. In Buffalo, I believe he was there when Hasek was there, and they got to the finals for the Cup, but Pat LaFontaine played, I think, with Alex McGillney. Great player, always dangerous, could score. Next up is an older guy that Montreal had a chance to draft, but they took somebody else, and I don't know if it was a bad thing who they took, because I think, no, I think he was actually drafted the year before Guy Lafleur, but I thought it was, Guy Lafleur. Anyway, we had a chance to have all of these guys. Guy Lafleur, Gilles Perreault, Marcel Dion. We could have had them all on the same team. Gilles Perreault, great hockey player, played for Buffalo. Team wasn't very good. I think he was there when Scotty Bowman was the GM. Just that team never could get going. They could never do anything, get anywhere. Maybe they made the playoffs, but they never got anywhere far. Great player, had a great line. Perreault, Rick Martin, and I can't remember the other one. French Connection, I think they called it. Great line, but that's all Buffalo had in those days pretty much. So Gilles Perreault, great hockey player. Next up is a goalie from a team that I, at the time that he played, hated, but I never hated him. And that's, let me change pens. And that's Bernie Perrin. Bernie Perrin, really, really good goalie. I don't think, I think because he retired probably a little too soon, he doesn't get his due as far as what he was capable of and what he did. He was a really good goalie. I believe I'm not sure if it was both Philadelphia Cups that he was in nets for, but at least for one. Just a great goalie. Always had good numbers. Always not easy to play against. And he passed away recently. Great goalie. Can't say it enough, I guess. Next up is a guy that played in Toronto for many years. Never won anything there because when he played in Toronto, they were horrible. Harold Ballard. Then he went to Calgary, and unfortunately, and I mean good, because when he won the Cup, it was good to see Lanny McDonald win the Cup, but he had to win it against Montreal in Montreal in 1989. But he's a guy, even though he played for Toronto, you couldn't not like. There's no way you could not like Lanny McDonald. He did all kinds of commercials and that big mustache of his. He just was a likable guy, even though he was on the team that I hate the most. Next up is another guy that was on that team with him, the captain of that team at the time, and that is Darryl. I don't think I'm spelling Darryl right. I'm not taking it back. Sittler, and I don't think I spelled that right. Not having a good day with spelling today. So Darryl Sittler, another guy who played for Toronto, captain of the Maple Leafs, got really pushed around by Harold Ballard. It's too bad. Nice guy. I think he still has the record for most points in a game. I think it's 6 goals, 4 assists. If not, it's 4 goals. It's 6 goals, 4 assists. Great player. Just played for a god-awful team. So if only he had managed, if he, in those days, if they could move around like they do today, he would have played for a better team, probably would have won a cup, but no. Too bad. Darryl Sittler, a great hockey player. Next up is a guy I really like. I really like the guys ahead, so I can't have him as number one, but he's a guy I really like. I remember in his first season, I have this memory of when I heard about him. I was in a car in Montreal. We lived on a farm in Ormstown in those days. And I just remember hearing about Mike Bossy, and it was like a big thing. And then his career started, and he 50 goals in his first, I think, 7 or 8 seasons, something like that. Maybe I'm wrong on how many seasons, but 50 goals almost every year until he his back got to him. I guess, I don't know if, did I say it? Mike Bossy. Can you tell that all this social distancing and isolation is getting to me? I don't know. Can you tell? Because it seems to be. Okay, Mike Bossy, just a great hockey player, pure goal scorer. Pure goal scorer. Won the 4 cups with the Islanders in a row, part of that dynasty. They might not have had that dynasty without Mike Bossy. And, yeah, just a great guy. Never hear anything bad about a guy like that. That's something I like about hockey players. You don't really hear anything bad, for most of them anyway. And they're easy to like. And Mike Bossy was an easy guy to like. I worked with his, I think it's his nephew, his cousin, I think, at a pizza place. He was the manager there many years ago, and we played golf a few times, and I almost got to meet Mike Bossy. It's too bad. We were supposed to play golf together, and something came up, and he couldn't make it, but that's how close I got to meeting him. Oh, well, what are you going to do? Next up is a guy that I used to always take in my hockey pools, because this guy was money. He was money, just getting not a ton of goals, but assists galore every night, and that's Adam Oates. And whether he was playing with Brett Hull or whether he was playing with the guy in Boston, can't think of his name, just unbelievable passer. The guy could pass the puck like almost nobody else. I think the guy that's number one is probably better, but Adam Oates was great. Loved him, took him every single year for about 5 years in a row in my hockey pools, and he never failed me. Not in those days. Next up is a guy, yes, he played a few games for Montreal, but he's the guy that, first hockey player that I really kind of fell in love with when I was a kid. I mean, I was like, I want to say I was like 6, 7. When I first discovered him and discovered hockey, and he was the guy that I kind of clung on to, I guess, until Guy Lafleur came into my life. And that's Tony Esposito. Espo was a great goalie. Kind of had his own style. A bit floppy around and all that. But he made spectacular saves. Had a very long career. Shutouts, I think he might he's at the top of the list in shutouts, I would think. I should have checked on that for the NHL, because the guy used to get shutouts galore. Just one of those floppy kind of goalies, like a Dominic Hasek in that unconventional style. But a great goaltender, and too bad he didn't stay with Montreal. He would have had a few more cups and better record. But a great goalie, Tony Esposito. Tonio! Next one up is, in my opinion, when they have that argument for who's the best hockey player to ever play the game, and, you've got your typical Gordie Howe, Jean Beliveau, Maurice Richard, Doug Harvey. See how many are Canadians. Wayne Gretzky, can't forget Wayne Gretzky. And for me, it's the one that is in that list, but for me, he's the guy. I know Gretzky got all those points and all that stuff. I think this guy was better. You got to know who I'm talking about, because this is the only one I didn't name, and that's Bobby Orr. And I've said it before in my videos, few videos, but Bobby Orr, for me, was the best hockey player to ever put skates on. He could do everything at full speed, whether he could play the forward game, could play the defense game, racks up the points, could hold the puck, and kill off a penalty almost by himself. And just a great great hockey player. So my opinion, Bobby Orr, the greatest hockey player ever, and always loved him. And I remember as a kid when we used to play outside, play hockey or on the rinks or street hockey. My brother's best friend Phil, he was the best hockey player in the group. He was a good hockey player, small guy. So in those days, never got a shot. Really good hockey player, and he was always pretending he was Bobby Orr, always. And so we just fell in love with Bobby Orr because he's a great player. Even though he played for Boston, you could not like Bobby Orr. That's a good guy too, good man and a good hockey player. So there's my list. Let me know if anybody disagrees with my list. Now, you can't disagree with my list and say I'm wrong because they're players that I liked. But who would you not have on the list for yourself, and who would you put on the list for yourself? Because you can't write me and say, well, you're wrong, this one's no good. Well, it doesn't matter if they're good or not good. It's guys I liked, and that's what this is about. But I'd like to know, who did you like? Who do you agree with me on the list, and who do you disagree? So let me know in the comments below, and while you're doing that, give the video a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do that, and ring the notifications bell, and that'll get you your daily fix of Blue Blanc Rouge right here at Talking Habs. And you get more lists like this, all kinds of stuff, video game reviews and history videos and live streams and all that. So subscribe, ring that notifications bell, you'll get all that. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I appreciate it. And please let me know in the comment section, guys you liked. And look out for my next one. Is going to be guys that never played for Montreal that I hate. There's a few guys on there I absolutely hate. And as hockey players, as people, it's different. As hockey players, I hate them. And that's my next video. So look for that. Thanks everybody once again for watching. Peace out, y'all. See you next video.